Good evening. Welcome back to Telltale. This is the official kickoff of the spooky Halloween season. I'm going to be talking about Something Wicked This Way Comes. This spooky lighting isn't good for showing off books. But before I get into it, gotta give some shout outs, some housekeeping here. Emily's going to be joining me, I think, for a lot of these this October, though she didn't. I kind of read Something Wicked This Way Come as a fill-in for something that she wasn't able to complete. And after Needful Things, I really wanted to read Something Wicked in order to compare the two. And so she will be back joining I think she'll be back joining for a lot of them, because I've got a lot of short stories lined up. Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, William Hope Hodgson, stuff like that. But because I record in advance all the time, it's hard to respond to things that recently happen and get it up in a timely manner. So I apologize for that. But I have to thank specifically Michael Vaughn and his channel, and Criminali and his channel. I'm not sure I even really know Criminali's real name. I know him as Criminali. He's got a great channel. Michael Vaughn's got a great channel. I've been watching Michael Vaughn for quite a while now, and I like his style. It's quirky. It's way different from anything I'd be comfortable doing. I'm a little more straight-laced, straightforward in this stuff. But I like his style and the humor he brings to his videos. And Criminali, he has a great channel. They're both reading a lot of the books that I like. And, more than just science fiction and horror, they're also reading the classics like we do. So very much a similar kind of content. So, if you're looking for a good review of something and I don't have it on my channel, one of them is bound to have it on theirs. So they both seem like great guys. I don't know them personally. I just know them from their videos, but they seem like great guys. They've been very nice to Telltale lately, and they gave us Michael Vaughn gave us a shout out. Criminali has been commenting and saying good things about us, and I really appreciate that. That has added quite a few new subscribers. We're still very small at Telltale. So I encourage you to visit their channels, Michael K. Vaughn, Criminali. I encourage you to follow them. Go over, check the two of them out, like and subscribe to their channels. They have really they've done a lot of videos that I wish I had done already, and someday want to get to. A lot of the books that I would like to cover here, but there's just only so much time, and it's really good to have multiple channels that are looking at the older stuff. I very much appreciate that somebody took the time to tell me that they like my channel and tell other people that they too will like my channel. Because a lot of times it seems like I'm just sitting here in the dark talking to myself. Once in a while I get Emily here and I got somebody to talk to, which is great. And I really love those. I love our conversations. I think that makes our videos strong. So anyway, before this turns into just an all about Telltale Books video, I do want to talk about Something Wicked This Way Comes, which of course it's, I don't want to say it's Ray Bradbury's most famous book, because of course the Martian Chronicles and the Illustrated Man are extremely famous, very well known. So Something Wicked This Way Comes is probably up in that top 3. And it's interesting because Something Wicked This Way Comes is really the only proper novel of that top 3 of Bradbury's books. So the book is very famous. It's had a lot of really great editions. I've been drooling over the Folio Society edition. I'd like to get it, but need to cut back on my spending a little bit. So what I do have is this Macmillan No, William Morrow. They published a whole line of these Ray Bradbury books in the early 90s. And I've got a number of them. I've got 5 of them. I've got The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles, Something Wicked This Way Comes, The October Country. I forget what the other one is. And very, these are not Sun Tub folio, highly collectible books. These were mass market. I bought this at 1991. That probably would have been either B. Dalton or Walden Books in the mall. And, so it's mass market, but it hasn't yellowed. All these years it hasn't yellowed. I bought it new. Hasn't yellowed. It's in great shape. It's unusual. It's an unusual size. It's about the same size as a paperback, a little wider. The pages have really nice margins. Less text per page, which means more pages, which probably boosted the cost, but they did it anyway, which kudos to them, because it's a good book. The generous margins and generous gutter make it easier to read. And for such a small book, it's hard to lay it open. It'll kind of flip back, but not as bad as some books I've seen. And being paperback size, you really don't need to lay it open on a table. You can hold this thing up and read it just fine. Cover design is nice, but not spectacular. In particular, the pastel blue just doesn't seem to fit the mood of the story. Something darker would be better. But I love this is a wonderful little book. I love this edition. And that's part of what we're all about here at Telltale, is to not just turn you on to the most expensive $800 limited edition signed things, but to turn you on to just well done mass market books that are, worth having in your collection. Try to find books that are really, really excellent books, but they're not going to bust your budget. Because if you go down that road of just the collector editions, you got to have every one of the numbered editions, and you got to have the same number every time. And those people don't even read the damn books. They put them on a shelf and show it off because they paid so much money. They're afraid to read it in case they should spill their soda on it while reading. I don't like that. I think a book that is never read is pointless. Okay, the author wrote that story for people to read. They're trying to say something to you. If you don't read it, you're not getting it. If you just want art, get a portfolio of the illustrations. You don't need the whole book. It's nice to have a beautiful illustrated edition. But if it's going to cost you something somewhere above your monthly house mortgage, I don't think it's worth it. I think I would rather have a cheaper, nice book than to pay that kind of money and be afraid to look at it. I want books I can read. Books are meant to be read. It's a shame if they're never read. They should be read. So, Something Wicked This Way Comes. It is, of course, a very famous story and a great fantasy classic. It's a horror story, but it doesn't have the gore and adult themes of something like Stephen King. This is a horror story that your 10-year-old can read and not be grossed out. Which, of course, on today's standards makes it a lot less scary to a lot of people. But only because we've gone down this route of needing extreme titillation of dismemberment and sex and, this extreme violence. At one time, just the mood and the mystery of something that is not normal, and just the threat that somebody might do something to you, even if it's not ever actually carried out in the book, was considered enough, was considered plenty scary. And so Bradbury's work, while it is horror, and it has a ton of imagination, it has great mood to it, it's not going to appeal to today's intense horror fans that are looking for blood sucking and decapitations and twisted sex and just all kinds of really wild, raunchy stuff. The story of Something Wicked This Way Comes is set in Greentown, which I only recently realized in reading this book, and I've been putting Bradbury's bibliography on our website. I've only recently realized there was a whole series. There's a number of works set in Greentown, including Dandelion Wine and Farewell Summer. They're all set in Greentown, so they're all related. I didn't know this. I thought Something Wicked This Way Comes would stand alone. Anyway, it's set in Greentown, which is a fictional, small Illinois town. Time frame, probably 1920s, 1930s. Loosely based on Bradbury's hometown of Waukegan, Illinois. I lived in Racine and Kenosha, Wisconsin in the past. I grew up in Racine. I've been to Waukegan a lot. The Waukegan I know is not a small town. It's more like a suburb of Chicago. It has a lot of industry. So predating the Waukegan I know, it was a typical middle America small town with small town people. It's getting into autumn, and there are these two friends, Will and Jim. Will Hathaway and Jim Nightshade, if I'm remembering the names correctly. If I got that right, kudos, because I am so bad with names. So they're the two main characters. And it starts out with a carnival coming to town. But it's not just any carnival. It's Dark's Pandemonium Carnival or something like that. And there's, from the start, Will and Jim see that there's something not quite right about it. And then people start disappearing. So Will and Jim go to the carnival and they sneak into places where they're not supposed to try and check this out and find out what's going on. And they find out that there's some very, very dark things about Mr. Dark. And Mr. Dark catches them. And now they get away at that time, but now Mr. Dark is pursuing them because he wants to stop them before they can damage his plans. I don't want to go into the story any deeper than that because I'll start getting into spoilers, and this really is something you should experience. If you've never read it, it's a great American novel. It's a great fantasy novel. It's even a great horror novel, so long as you're not into the blood and guts. It's definitely, like I say, one of Bradbury's top 3. It's a very good introduction to Bradbury. The novel is worth reading just for Bradbury's writing style. He's one of those authors that doesn't just write straightforward like he's talking to you. He crafts his writing so that his writing has a specific sound. And this is something you'll find in the works of Poe, Hawthorne, Lovecraft, William Hope Hodgson, and even some of the Abraham Merritt is another older one that did this sort of writing, and even some writers today are doing this because they love language and they love the beauty and the sound of language. So just a random page. Some nights, abed, Will put his ear to the wall to listen, and if his folks talked things that were right, he stayed, and if not right, he turned away. If it was about time and passing years, or himself, or town, or just the general inconclusive way God ran the world, he listened warmly, comfortably, secretly, for it was usually Dad talking. He could not often speak with Dad anywhere in the world, inside or out, but this was different. There was a thing in Dad's voice, up, over, down, easy as a hand winging soft in the air, like a white bird describing flight patterns, made the ear want to follow and the mind's eye to see. What a joy to read. I mean, who cares about the story when you got words so beautifully crafted as that? Just, read all that and enjoy it and love it. That's what that's what's great about literature, is to do more than just talk at people, but to craft your writing into something beautiful. To take a joy in the words and the sounds and the fine art of writing, which so few authors do these days. So you probably know where I'm going with this. This is Automatic Top Tail. I mean, I kind of expected so going into it, but I had never read it before. I've read other things of Bradbury's, but I'd never read this before. I read it, and I fell in love with it after the first 2 pages, and it just kept getting better from there. And by the way, this was made into a movie by Disney in the early 1980s, scripted by Ray Bradbury. He wrote the script for the movie. He changed things for the movie. So it's interesting to watch the movie. I watched it with Emily and her husband just last night. It's a wonderful movie. I wish I've been getting all my movies as digital downloads these days, because all I got room for is for books. I don't have room for DVDs. So I want all digital downloads from iTunes, but even going on Disney Plus, you can't find this movie anymore. You have to go out and get a DVD of it. And I don't do DVDs anymore, which I'm sad about, because I really want Something Wicked This Way Comes, the movie, because it's an awesome movie, beautifully done, beautiful visuals, very well acted. Jason Robards, come on. And I forget the actor's name that played Mr. Dark, but he's awesome. And the kids, they did a great job for kids their age. They did a great job of acting. It's a wonderful movie. It does the book a lot of justice. But like I say, Bradbury did change some things for the movie. And so the movie kind of even enhances the book in certain ways. But the book itself, of course, that's what you should do, is go read the book. So go read the book. And like us, subscribe to us, come back and watch more. Leave comments. Have you read Something Wicked This Way Come? What did you think? Do you agree, disagree? And check us out on social media. And we want to see you coming back. We want to see more people coming here and joining in our love of literature and design and publishing and printing. And until next time, bye.